Pornography has been proven to be highly addictive by giving people who religiously watch it a stimulation that keeps bringing them back to the computer screen. It isn't the graphic images that people are addicted to, but instead the release of serotonin and dopamine that people crave after the experience. Dopamine and serotonin are known to be happy neurotransmitters in the brain because they give us the feeling of satisfaction and happiness. Porn is not as publicized as other addictions such as drugs or alcohol abuse because of its shameful nature and how uncommon it is to recognize the long-term effects of this type of addiction. Participating in watching porn isn't usually a topic for discussion, so those who suffer from this addiction suffer in silence. Pornography not only alters the body's dopamine system, but can also interfere with their daily life, maintaining healthy relationships and interrupting their job performances. While it can be commonly held belief that a porn fixation is not an actual addiction when compared to drug addiction and the withdrawal that comes along with drug compulsion, it is becoming increasingly noted as a true addiction. Just like drugs, pornography has been proven to alter and interfere with people's daily lives, where it is all they can think about. When it becomes a habit to crave and return back to the computer screen as a way to relieve stress, porn then becomes an outlet for men or women all over the world. Increasingly, my companion became my computer, a means of escape and an endless supply of new and provocative images, my answer to stress. Many will argue that because watching porn is normal for young boys or girls, and because it is even a stress relief in some cases, porn isn't that big of a deal. However, isn't alcohol, gambling, nicotine, and shopping considered stress relievers too? It's okay and in fact healthy to have outlets for yourself during stressful times, but there comes a point when something goes from a stress reliever to a dependency. This interference reaction craving access to porn and sex allows for the extremely irregular behavior observed in porn addicts. The dopamine mix-up reaction in the addict's brain causes the individual to continue coming back for more and more. As the substance, whether it be porn or a particular fetish, starts to cloud thoughts, there is less care about the consequences in terms of personal relationships and the person's outside world. The addiction becomes more ingrained and the need to continue the defiant behavior becomes stronger. Defiant behavior becomes stronger. Simple Slopes analysts suggest that when the frequency of consumption reaches once a month, sexual satisfaction begins to decrease, and that the magnitude of the decrease becomes larger with each increase in the frequency of consumption. Trying to quit but failing multiple times, hiding the use from others, and feeling of no self-control are all signs of possible addiction. Others argue that men or women's performance in bed is dependent on how attractive they are to their partners. While this may be true, watching pornography with unrealistic body images causes them to only be aroused when they are observing these fantasy-like scenarios. However, the real world is nothing like the movies, causing frustration in the bedroom. Many will argue that participating in pornography is a private choice one can make if he or she is of age. It is no one else's business what others choose to do behind closed doors. Therefore, having an addiction to pornography should not be anyone else's business besides the users. The sad reality of this is that those who are suffering in the dark usually almost never come out and get the help that they need. As much as 30% of internet content is porn, and tens of millions of men and some women waste much of their lives in endless, mind-numbing, relationship-killing, out-of-control binge watching. The shame and the guilt start to build up that people don't know how to escape it, but instead to turn back to the computer screen. From reading the article Hidden in Shame, the author talks about an investigation they conducted in New Zealand with the help of unpaid volunteers. This experience was conducted to see how the patients felt after using pornography. These volunteers were people who already knew that they had an addiction to porn and volunteered to help with the research. The author goes further into detail about the experiment in the following. The primary reason men kept their viewings hidden from the world was because of the economy experience of guilt and shame that would inevitably follow most, if not all, viewing sessions or attempts at opening up about their use. Pornography began eroding their sense of autonomy when men experienced a loss of control over their use, which underpinned the core aspects of their problematic use. Over time, the men perceived the pornography had resulted in having unrealistic expectations when it came to sex and sexuality. The way that they viewed women led to diminished sexual frustration. Pornography is almost like an endless loop of frustration that only ends up with the users right back to where they started, the computer screen. It's hard to try to break an addiction that has caused someone to view their relationship and lives differently, but by seeking the right help and counseling, anything is possible. 2.5 million people visit the world's most popular porn sites every 60 seconds in 2023. Pornography not only alters the body's dopamine system, but can also interfere with their daily life, maintaining healthy relationships and interrupting their job performances. After one is finished watching porn, the dopamine and serotonin transmitters only last for a couple of minutes, therefore leaving that person feeling guilty and shameful afterwards, wondering why they even turned on their screen in the first place. This becomes a never-ending cycle because maybe hours or days later, this person forgets how they felt afterwards and only can think of the pleasure and happiness it brings in the beginning. That's it.